Hello, everybody. What an amazing crowd. How many of you have been in here all day? Yeah. Aren't there the most incredible workshops here? It's okay. This incredible lineup of all these amazing healers, these amazing shamans, these amazing witches, these amazing pagans. My name is Megan Edge, and I am all of the above. How many witches in the room? It's okay, you can come out. You can say it. You can hold your broomstick up with pride. I am witch, hear me roar, watch me fly. What about shaman? How many identify as shaman? Shaman healer. And what about pagan? How many pagans in the room? Probably easier to be a pagan. Well, let's talk about what these are. What do we mean when we talk about pagan, shaman, witch, healer? Aren't they all really words for the same thing? The same intention, the same desire to heal, to help, to connect to one another, to connect to the earth. And we've just had Halloween, and one of the most iconic figures of Halloween is the witch. Whether she's the sexy witch or she's the gnarly old crone, we have this fascination with the witch. Now, there's a long history that I'm not going to talk about today. That's a whole other workshop about where the cultural ideas that we have about witches comes from, the limiting cultural ideas. But what has been happening over the last few decades is a reclaiming by men and women of the witch, the wise one in the community. There's been a reclaiming and a remembering of the shaman, being the healer who holds the spirit of the community and is the connection for the community between spirit, however we perceive that, and the individual. And there has been a re-emergence of the pagan, connecting to the earth and the earth's cycles, the cycles of the seasons, the cycles of the moon, recognizing plant medicine, and how the trees benefit us, and how their root systems benefit us, and how the mushrooms benefit us. There appears to be a resurgence of need for us to connect back to these old wisdoms, these old ways of learning. But what I want to be really clear about is this. I'm not putting those old wisdoms on a pedestal above our own modern knowing. What I want to see happen, what I teach in my courses, what I share with my clients, is that these two ways of knowing about health and healing and well-being and spirituality and energy and all of that can merge. They can work together. Because it does no one any service to make one better than the other. Right? And we're all just wanting to be as well as we can be. And whatever way in which we do that, if it benefits us, it will benefit all of the people around us. So when I say I want you to reclaim those parts of yourself that might resonate with shaman or pagan or witch or something else, some other word that we can use to describe this desire and need that we have to be connected to one another, to be connected to the earth, and to be connected to our own healing journey and the reasons why we come here. This is what I want you to claim. Again, as we talk about these words, as we move into the energy of what it means to be healthy, to be healed, and in some cases to become the healer, the person who stands in the space of the other person's need to heal, that stands in their story. However you choose to call yourself, each one of you already knows within yourself what you ultimately need to be well and to be happy. Can you feel that? Mm-hmm. Can you feel that that's true? That you don't actually need to look outside of yourself for those answers. But what we do sometimes need is confirmation of that wisdom and information that's within us, right? We need to know that what we are thinking and hearing and feeling is valid, and to have that reflected back to us by somebody else, a healer, a witch, a pagan, a shaman, gives us that jolt of recognition of, okay, I knew it. I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing. I knew I needed to clear my energy. I knew I needed to leave that job or that relationship. I knew I needed to say yes to climbing that mountain or whatever it is that you know you need to do in order to feel well and to be happy and to be grounded. And what the shaman or the witch or the pagan is doing is standing in tools and techniques that he or she can then share with her community or his community to help each of us be in that place of wellness. When I do my work, I pull in all kinds of different healing techniques. I'm constantly learning. I love learning about new ways of working with energy or new ways of working with plants or crystals. And I could talk to you about all of that. Because what I know to be true is that each one of you has your own vibration, has your own energy, has your own story, and has your own journey. And so what might work for one isn't necessarily going to work for another. For you, it might be crystals. But for you, it might be plants. And for you, it might be energy. So to be able to pull from all these different disciplines the tools and techniques that can help each of you on your journey is my goal. It's what I do. I create this toolbox, and I put all of these tools and techniques into that toolbox. What I want to share with you today are some of those tools. Some of the ways in which I work with these different energies that come from the earth, that come from the crystals, that come from the elements, air, earth, fire, and water. The four fundamental elements. That if you were to study shamanism, paganism, Wicca, you would find that all of these disciplines play in the energies of these four elements, that they are the foundation of all of those disciplines in one way or another. And music and sound. Right? No, it's lovely. Sound healing we're not going to do today, but there are other people upstairs who are doing beautiful work with sound healing. So I would encourage you to go and go and meet with them. It's all good. I say in it, whenever I'm in a session or in a classroom, I say that everything that happens in the session is part of the session, even the interruptions. So it's all good. It's fabulous. So look what I brought today. Everybody knows what this is, right? It's a dollar store broom made in China out of bamboo and bits of twig, which is what brooms would have been made of originally. And what do we normally use a broom for in our day-to-day life? Flying on. Yes, there is that. We use them for sweeping. Do you know that this is one of the most ancient domestic tools that we have? That people have been sweeping their space for tens of thousands of years? That we find remnants of brooms in archaeological sites? Do you think that this has always been a woman's tool? Just out of curiosity? Right? There is a cultural association that we have that it is women who do the cleaning, it is women who do the cooking within the home. And certainly in this day and age, that is all being changed. We know that this isn't the truth, that anybody and all of us can pick up a broom and learn how to sweep the floor. But more than that, there's an energetic aspect to this. There's a reason why the broom is associated with witch. Can anyone think of why, besides flying? Yes. So the creating of the broom itself is a ritual. Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts? Sweeping the negative energy out of the space. Yeah, and somebody else had a comment. Somebody said, pardon me? Cleansing. Yeah, absolutely. In places in Mexico and in the Aztec cultures, there was a ritual of sweeping that was done on a daily basis at the same time of the day. Both men and women in the household had their broom. Brooms were very personal. And part of what you did at the end of the day was to sweep from all the corners of your house, out the front door, and out into the street, to clear and move any dust at the practical level and dirt that had built up during the day, but also at the energetic level. And then there was a festival that was the sweeping festival. I loved when I learned this. This was so fascinating. Because guess when the festival falls in the South American calendar, when it used to happen? Right around now. And this was where the entire town would take their brooms and everyone would sweep from their homes and then sweep out onto the street and then sweep the streets out to the exit of the towns and the villages. Doesn't that feel really powerful? So one of the tools that I would love for each of you to add to your toolkit is to find yourself the perfect broom. And it might be one of those plastic brooms with the plastic thingies. It doesn't have to be one like this. Or you can make your own broom. Or you can go into the hardware store and you can find a straw broom that you just really feel connected to. And then make it your own. You can decorate it, you can paint it. And this becomes your tool for clearing out your home of stale energy, of stagnant energy, of dust bunnies. And as you do this, you do it with the intention that each room, each corner of each room gets swept. And you take it all from the back of the house and you move it all the way out through to the front of the house and out onto the street. And then you take it even further and you sweep your sidewalk. Actually, funny story, I was teaching my Confident Healer course last year and we had got to this chapter, the Shaman, Witch, Pagan chapter. And I had given each of the students a broom and we swept the house, which was great because then my house was clean. And that earlier that morning, there had been an altercation on the corner that we lived in. A road rage had happened. And I said to the students, let's go outside. Let's sweep the block. So there we were, 8 of us, out there with our brooms, sweeping around the block in Fairfield. I can only imagine what people were thinking as they were driving by. But what was really interesting is the neighbors came out and said, what are you doing? And I said, well, you know that yelling that we heard this morning? I said, yeah, we're just clearing it out. Oh, I like that idea. So this can have that kind of an impact, not just in your own home, but when you take it out into your neighborhood. Don't be surprised if your neighbors come over and ask you what you're up to. Now, above and beyond sweeping your own space, what about clearing the land? What about clearing the energy? We just talked a little bit about that, sweeping the sidewalk and clearing the neighborhood. But what about downtown Victoria, for example? Or Clover Point needs some clearing. Have you ever walked into a place, like an environment, and just felt something wasn't right? Or you've seen that storefront that never can hold a business in it? It probably needs to be cleared. I would like to take you on a visualization to clear the land. Would you like to do that with me? Okay, perfect. So we're going to be stewards of the land right now, this land that we're on, and any other land that comes to you as you do this visualization. Allow any other place on the planet that shows up for you to be a part of this process of energetically clearing anything that's being held in that land. So what I'll invite you to do is to sit comfortably. Let your body relax. Let your belly go loose. Let your shoulders loosen. And sitting quietly, I invite you to close your eyes and connect with your breath. Just nice, normal breathing. If you notice that your breathing is shallow, take a nice, deep, cleansing breath and release it through. I would like you to move into the energy of reverence. I would like you to feel and become aware of what's beneath your feet right now. Take your imagination, take your visualization, move it through your shoes, move it through the beautiful new floor in here. Take it down into the bedrock that's beneath us. Let yourself really drop into the earth that is holding us up right now. Now bring your attention back to your feet and visualize a beautiful cord or filament, whatever color comes to you, extending from the middle of your feet, deep, deep, deep into the ground beneath you. Go even farther down than where we started. Imagine this cord going all the way down into the center of the earth. And let that be whatever it is for you. And once you have connected to the center of the earth's core, invite the energy from the center of the earth to travel back up this beautiful cord until it reaches the surface just beneath your feet. Connect in with the color again of this cord, or the colors, and the colors of this earth's energy, and feel its vibration and its pulse. Now I invite you to send out multiple tendrils or roots from your feet chakras in all directions around you, seeing them intersect with each other until there's a web of tendrils covering the land for as far and as wide as it needs to go. Really play with how far these roots and these tendrils want to go. Now bring your awareness back to the core earth energy and pull it up from just under the surface and send it flooding along each of these tendrils, each of these roots, until the entire web is full and pulsing with this energy. Every place this web touches, where stuck energy is being held by the land, it is transformed in puffs of multicolored smoke. And just use that beautiful imagination of yours to see, as you watch these tendrils move across the landscape, these little puffs of smoke, as each bit of blocked energy or pain or wounding that the land is holding is dissipated. And when you no longer see any more puffs of smoke, bring your attention back to yourself as a lightning rod for this pure and ancient earth's energy. Allow yourself to feel completely grounded in this earth's energy. And now go into your body and notice if there's any of this energy remaining in your body. And if it is, allow it to flow through you effortlessly back down into the earth. Take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in. And on the exhale, ask the earth what else it needs. And allow the first thing that comes into your mind to be that answer. What does the earth need from you to help support it and to help continue clearing it? And now with another nice deep cleansing breath in. On the exhale, slowly open your eyes. Come back into this beautiful space. Come back into your body. Give yourself a little shake. How many people do we think are in the room here? Probably about 50 or so. Each and every one of you has just sent healing energy into the earth and cleared it, actually cleared it. Can you feel that? Does anybody want to share what that experience was like for them? I'd love to hear if you went someplace other than right here. Did anybody have that experience? Yes.
I went to my apartment in Ontario and tried to make it nicer.
Lovely. You went to your apartment in Ontario and tried to make it nicer. So was the apartment holding?
It's a little bit sad.
Beautiful. Nice. So you can be here, and thank you for sharing. You can be here and you can be someplace else as well energetically and doing this work. There's a place up in Port Renfrew where the mountainside was clear cut back in the 60s, and very little has grown back. Because part of what happens when we clear cut is then there's nothing to hold the soil, so the soil flows down, and then there's nothing for the plants to anchor themselves into, to grow into. The first time I ever did this visualization, the first time it came to me, was when I was sitting up there in that clear cut doing my energy medicine training, and I could feel what felt to me like this wound, this seeping wound that the earth had from that experience, and that it hadn't healed itself yet because there wasn't anything for the plants to grow in. And I had this amazing shamanic experience of connecting in to the ground and feeling these roots spreading out. And what was most interesting from my perspective was that when I first started doing that work, everything looked gray and very like skeletons. You know, the wood had become very gray and skeleton-like. And after I opened my eyes and came back from the journey, I could suddenly see all the green. I could see all the places where life has been coming back to that space. I just hadn't seen it the first time because I'd been overwhelmed with the pain that I was feeling from the earth. And once I did the clearing, suddenly I could see where all that life was. It was a shift in perspective. So this is a technique that you can do anywhere, anytime. You can do it in a building, if you don't have your broom with you, and most of us probably aren't going to be carrying our broom with us when we go downtown. But this gives you that ability to tap in, drop in, and really quickly do that quick clear. And the earth needs it. So do it anytime, and every time you can and you want to. So that's working with the earth. So now I'd like to move into working with the air. The air is your breath. We did some of that in that visualization, right? That deep breath in, that deep breath out. How many people are holding their breath right now? Be honest. Shallow breathing, it's chronic in our culture. Why are you so exhausted all the time? Probably dehydration and lack of deep breathing would be the two main reasons why you experience fatigue. Hunger is in there too. Your breath moves energy. This is a shamanic practice, this recognition that energy gets held. The shamanic practitioner can breathe that energy in from the client or the patient's body and then breathe it out. But more than that, anytime that you're feeling tired, lethargic, heavy, like you're falling into yourself, just the act of taking that deep breath, you can't take a deep breath and be all squished over. Your body has to stand up when you take that deep breath. So I want to share with you a breathing technique that I've developed that I use with my clients all the time, and I love it. And again, it came to me at a time when I needed it most. I found myself in a place of deep grief, and I realized in that grief I'd shut everything down and closed my whole lung meridian, and I wasn't breathing properly. And people had been commenting to me, "Why do you keep taking these deep breaths every once in a while?" And I didn't even realize I was doing it, but my body knew what it needed, right? And so it was taking those deep breaths for me. So I connected in with the desire to acknowledge and accept, and then the desire to release and let be. So it goes like this. You take a deep breath in, and on the in-breath you say, "I acknowledge, I accept." And on the exhale, I release, I let it be. I let it be. Not I let it go. I don't want you to let it go, because the more you try to let something go, guess what happens? you hold on to it tighter, right? Because that space that opens up when you let something go can be an uncomfortable space to be in, and so we tend to hold it tighter. However, your shoulders hit the light switch. Thank you. Let there be light. So the idea is that on the inhale, I acknowledge, I accept. I acknowledge and I accept where I am in this moment. I acknowledge and I accept my reaction, my response. I acknowledge and accept my grief. I acknowledge and accept my fear, my anxiety, my worry. I acknowledge it. There it is. It's shown up for me for a reason. I accept it. It's a part of who I am. I don't make myself wrong about it. That's all that's happening as you do that in-breath. And then on the exhale, I release, I let it be. The beautiful thing about I let it be and I release is that you have stepped back from control, from trying to control, right? I just let it be. Because everything is energy. And energy has a life force. And if you try to control that life force, you're going to get yourself stuck and you're going to get yourself toxic. If instead you work with the energy of, I let it be, I just let it be. It's not about me. I'm just going to let it be. There's a flow that starts to happen in your life that you may not have experienced before. So I'd like you to think about something in your life right now that is causing you anxiety or stress or worry or concern or anger, all of these beautiful, juicy human emotions. And what I'd like you to do is that breath. So think about what that thing is for you right now. Just let it land. And then collectively, take that deep breath in and say to yourself, I acknowledge, I accept, and I release, I let it be. If the charge is still there from whatever that is that came up for you, then do it again. Do it again. I recommend you do it 3 times. 3 is a magic number, because the first time you do it, you're going to be like, I don't know if this is really working. The second time you do it, you're going to think, well, maybe. The third time, it lands. This is the same with all of these practices. 3 times. Then you know it's landed for you. Then you do it as many times as you need to until the charge is dissipated and you're back grounded and in your body again. Because ultimately, that's what all of these practices are about. They're about helping you return to your body and stay grounded in your body so that you can be present for all of your life's experiences. Another really beautiful way to work with air is the wind. Next time we have a big windstorm in Victoria, go down to Dallas Road. Hang on for dear life to the railing and let that wind come through you. Feel as your hair gets pulled back. Feel as your clothes get pressed against you. Feel that wind taking anything and everything that you no longer need, that is no longer for your highest good, and pulling it off of you. It is one of the most exhilarating experiences that you can have, to do that, to work with the wind with intention, to allow the wind to do what the wind does best, which is, of course, clear, right? Clear it away. I want to move into water now. How many people in the room are thirsty right now, by the way? Yeah, I left my water bottle upstairs. Water is so important to us. We are 70% water, 80% water. We are fleshy bags of mostly water. The moon affects us because we have so much water in us. And as Dr. Emoto has shown us and proved to us, the words we speak affect the water within us and the water around us and can have a huge impact on our experience of our day-to-day lives. So yeah, I love how everyone started to drink water. How many people have water bottles in here right now? Okay, here's what I want you to do. Take your water bottle and hold it in your hands like this, if you would like to do this one, okay? Okay, you've got your water? If you don't have water, imagine you've got water. That's what I'm doing right now. Think of something that you want in your life. Think of a desire, think of a goal, think of a dream. Say to yourself the words that connect you to that desire, that goal, that dream. Is it love? Is it happiness? Is it freedom? Is it relationship? Is it going up and getting your bottle of water afterwards? Close your eyes and bring your awareness into that water. It's this beautiful element, this liquid crystal that is the life force of our planet and the life force for us. And place those words into that water. Feel the vibration and the energy of these words that are describing your dream and desire into the water. Notice if the water starts to feel different in your awareness as you are holding on to your water bottle. Take one of those deep cleansing breaths. Exhale. And drink your desire. Water is a beautiful tool for manifesting, right? Why not immerse yourself in the things that you want, that bring you joy and bring you happiness? Why not give yourself permission to have that with ease by creating that intention every time you create a drink, whether it's wine, water, coffee, doesn't matter. You bless the water by putting your energy into it, your intention, your brilliance, your beauty. You put that into the water and then you feed yourself with it. Doesn't that feel delicious? That instead of just pouring a glass of water from the tap and drinking it and not thinking about it, that you let yourself get into a habit and a practice of connecting to the water every time you work with it. That's what we're doing here this afternoon. We're immersing ourselves in each of these elements, right? Each body of water has its own energy. Did you know this? The ocean has a different energy than the river has. And the river has a different energy than the lake has. Now that I'm saying it, can you feel that? Yeah. Right? And what about when the tide goes out and then the tide comes back in? That has a different energy as well, right? So when we start working with water as an element and as a tool that can help us to clear, release, and connect to what we want and what we desire, we can look at the symbolism of that water and use that as one of these tools to help us stay grounded and connected. So when you want to release something, you're done with it, an energy, an idea, a belief, a relationship, a situation, go down to the beach when the tide is going out. Write it on a rock, what you're releasing. Throw the rock into the water as the tide goes out. Or create a little boat out of a log and write on the log, these are the things that I wish to release. And let the tide take them out. When you desire something, go back to the beach, watch the tide come in. If you've got 6 hours. You don't have to watch the whole thing happen. It's actually quite amazing. Is there anyone in the room who hasn't watched the tide come in? Who hasn't had the experience of seeing that? As things get covered, as the tidal pools fill up, as all the little creatures get excited because the tide's coming back in? I have a nature essence called Incoming Tide. Well, it used to be called Incoming Tide. Now it's called Radical Change. Because what incoming tide does, when we watch that tide coming in, we are in a process of trusting that the cycle is going to happen every day. We move into trust. And when we go through radical change in our life, one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves is to trust that this change will unfold in the way in which it is meant to unfold. And that we are a participant in that, but that we don't necessarily control it. If we remember that we can move through those transitions with ease, then we have a very different experience of it. Now think about a river. What does a river do? It starts, right, up at the top. It starts in a mountain somewhere, or it bubbles up from the ocean or from the earth, and it flows. And it flows down. And even though things might get in its way, and even though it might go way off track, it always comes back to the same place. Every river ends where? In the ocean, right? So with a river, even though the river can't see around the next bend, it knows and it trusts that it's going to get to the goal. It's going to get to where it needs to go. So if you find yourself in your life stuck, not sure what move to make next, not sure what decision to follow, not sure what choice to make, what if you went and sat by the river? And again, wrote it out on a piece of paper, one that will disintegrate, or a leaf or a branch, and put it in the river and let the river take it for you, trusting that it will go around the bend and will end up exactly where it needs to end up. And then there's a deeper way that you can work with this. If your rock, or not your rock rather, your piece of wood or your note gets stuck in the side of the river, then take that as an indication that you need to think again. Right? Maybe you're stuck for a reason. Maybe you're stuck because you've got it in your head it has to be this way, and the river is trying to point out to you that it actually could be a different way. And so you step back and you rethink and you reassess and then you reconnect and then you go back to the river. The lake is all about contemplation. Not a lot happens in a lake compared to the ocean at any given time. There's certainly loads of processes going on in a lake, but it's not as evident, right? You're not seeing the drama when you're looking at a lake. You're enjoying the peace and quiet and tranquility of the lake. So you go to the lake when you need to have that time out, when you need to stop thinking about everything that's going on in your life and you just want to have that moment of quietness and connectedness. Now, there's one other body of water that I want to share with you. It's energy and signature, and that is waterfall. What do you think we go to the waterfall for? Pardon me? Exhilaration? Yeah, that's a good one. Inspiration. Yeah. Anything else? What would you do if you leapt off the waterfall? What would you hope would happen when you got to the bottom? That there would be a beautiful pool of water that you could land in, right? Yeah, the energy of the waterfall is about taking risks, taking chances, and saying, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do my big yes, and we'll just see what happens when we get to the bottom. Because no matter what kind of waterfall you're thinking of, there's always going to be a pool of water at the bottom to catch you. So when you're ready to take that big leap and take that risk and take that chance, think of the waterfall. Work with the energy of the waterfall. Are there any other bodies of water that anybody can think of? Ponds, yeah. What would be the energy of a pond? What do you think? Contemplation, perhaps a deeper contemplation than the lake. The lake might be for a lighter contemplation, yeah? Pardon me? The rain. Oh, I like that. What's the symbolism of the rain? Cleansing, clearing, nourishing. When the first rains come and everything smells so good, and there's that reconnection with the energy of life and growth, yeah. And definitely clearing. We get some crazy storms here that just that rain comes down and boom. So what if you let yourself stand out in the rain when you're ready to wash things away or be done with something? Yeah. And the lightning and the thunder and all the elements that come in with this, right? So do you see what we're doing? We're creating relationship with the elements. The same way that the pagans have done it, the shamans have done it, the witches have done it, in that connection to the earth. Yes, there's a hand up at the back.
Does the pond represent like mirroring?
To mirror, yes. The reflection, yes, because a pond generally being a smaller body of water doesn't get as agitated as a larger body of water could. Definitely. In fact, scrying, who's familiar with this word? Scrying? Okay, so you go to the river, or you go to the pond rather, you gaze at the surface of the pond, you let your gaze soften, you allow yourself to land and sink into yourself, you open your mind, you receive. Definitely. Yeah. If anyone hasn't tried scrying, it's a really fun one to do. You just need a bowl of water. A light reflecting on it is, if you can, is ideal, but it doesn't have to be. You can also do scrying in a mirror or a crystal ball. That's what the gypsies are doing with their crystal balls. They're scrying. Beautiful. There was one other body of water. Oh, Swamp. Yes, who said swamp? Who said yes? The swamp and the bog. Guess what the energy is of the swamp and the bog? Guess what it is? Incubation is a good one. I like that. Yeah, incubation. Also, transition. Because a bog and a swamp is a transitionary body of water between a larger body of water, like a lake, and a forest. It's a temporary body of water. Now, temporary is a relative term in our understanding of it. You could have a bog that lasts 1,000 years or 10,000 years, but nonetheless, it's a space that holds water in transition and anticipation of what is going to be the next cycle that grows there. There's also an ancientness to the bog. Bogs in Europe still contain the perfectly purified body, not purified, preserved, thank you, bodies of people who either were thrown in or have fallen in. There's a stasis that occurs with a bog, even as it is transitionary. So maybe you need to slow down, and all the other bodies of water aren't going to quite slow you down enough. You go to the bog. You sit in the bog. Well, you can choose to sit in the bog, or you can sit beside the bog. And you let that stagnation be your experience in that moment. Because sometimes we just need to stop, right? We just need to stop and stay still. And the energy of the bog and the swamp can lend itself to that, can help you with that. The last thing I want to share with air is feathering. I would love a volunteer who feels like after being in this beautiful energy all day, they really need a clearing. I do. Come on over. Come on over. and your name is?
Tina.
Tina, I'm Megan.
I'm Megan.
Very nice to meet you as well. Hey, this is a turkey feather. Turkey feathers are excellent for clearing the aura. It's part of what they are used for. This is a wild turkey feather that was given to me. So when we do this work, we're starting up at the head of the crown, right? Because with the feather, we want to be able to pull any energy that's stuck in her aura and in her body down into the earth, where the earth will clear it and transmute it for us. Can I get you to turn, please, Tina? Beautiful. And we want to go through her back. Now, what's going to happen as I do this is I'm going to notice where there's places where energy is stuck. I'm going to feel it in my intuition. And I can feel that there's a bunch of stuck energy right in here, right behind that shoulder there. Did you know that this part of the body up here holds the mother energy? And the right side of the body holds the masculine energy. So when I have a client who has something stuck on their right shoulder, I would wonder about that story between mother and masculine and what that might look like and what's going on there. Okay, arms out. You want to get underneath here too. There's lots of energy here. There we go. Perfect. Did you know that you have chakras above your head, out in your energy field, underneath your armpits? We tend to ignore our armpits in our culture. We just put chemicals on them. We shave them. These poor armpits, they're doing such a good job for us, taking toxins out of our bodies. They need energy too. This is really stuck. Can I do something else for you here, Tina? Okay, just stay right there. Just sweep it away. I'm actually going to use a citrine, this beautiful huge chunk of citrine. Orange is the color of the sacral chakra. Orange is the color of joy and jubilation and abundance, and citrine is one of the crystals and gems that we work with for abundance. Citrine is in my chakra oil spray as the crystal that's in there. And this great huge piece has a personality. You may be able to pick up on its personality. And here, I'm going to get you to turn this way too, so the other side can see. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the citrine over the spot on her body where I'm feeling that there's this stuck energy. And I'm inviting the stuck energy that's in her shoulder to move out from her shoulder and into the crystal. And all of this is happening in my imagination. Now, I don't mean that I'm making it up. What I mean is that I'm using the power of my imagination to visualize what's happening here with the energy. Your imagination is your strongest intuitive tool. And any shaman, witch, or pagan will tell you that. You cannot do this work unless you're willing to use your imagination. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tina. Okay. Now the one that we haven't gone into yet is fire. That's because I can't light a candle down here. But what I will share with you is how transformative fire is. And as we come to the conclusion of our workshop, I want to leave you with this. We are on a full moon right now. We are on a full moon, supermoon. The full moon is all about releasing, right? So what if, when you go home tonight, you write on a piece of paper all the things you no longer want to have in your life, all the things that are not in your highest good any longer. It could be a really long list or it could be a really short list. It doesn't matter. And then in a safe way, you're going to crumple or fold that piece of paper. You're going to light a candle, or if you have a fireplace or a fire pit, you can do it there as well. And putting that paper between your hands in the prayer position and thanking all of it for showing up for you, right? Because we're not getting rid of it because it's necessarily bad. We're asking it to leave because we no longer need it. When you're sure you're ready to release it, you take that piece of paper and you put it in the fire. And as it burns, you imagine that all of those things that you wrote on that piece of paper are going up in that smoke and they're being transmuted because you no longer need them. And you're doing that on the power of the full moon. Yeah, can you feel that? Beautiful. There are so many more tools and techniques that I could share with you. There's another beautiful healer and presenter waiting to come down and share with you their knowledge. My booth is right up the doors when you come into the main part. Just turn to your right. I've got my energy practitioners there giving intuitive energy massage sessions. I have my essences and my sprays. I have all my tools. I'd love to talk to you more about this. Please come and see me. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you. Yeah, and be sure to get your broom.
Thanks so much for watching my workshops and my talks. It's my passion to share what I know and believe. There's lots of laughter, sometimes tears. We're always learning and growing. I look forward to staying connected to you and to hearing from you. Enjoy this amazing day.